Hey there everybody and welcome back. In today's video I'm going to be doing a really quick review or comparison between the Visible phone service and Google Fi. So you'll see I have these pulled up side by side instead of recording an actual physical device, and the main reason is we're just going to do a quick comparison of the coverage, and I've actually used both of these plans myself, so I'm going to walk you through what I feel may be the best and then let you make the decision on what's best for you. So before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. Now let's go ahead and jump straight in. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start with Visible first, and the primary reason for this is they only have one plan, and it's the one that I've been using most recently, so I figured this would be an easy starting place. Now, if at the end of this video you decide that you want to sign up for the Visible phone plan, I will put my referral link in the description, so full disclosure, when you use that, you get your first month for $5, and I will also get a month for $5. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the plan. So from their website, you can check out their plan, and we'll cover the basics. So you'll see that you have unlimited data, messages, and minutes. They do include calling to Mexico and Canada, and then the hotspot piece. So I recommend looking over each of these info bubbles and trying to read into this just to learn the specifics. For example, although it is unlimited data, if you want to use mobile hotspot, it's unlimited with speeds up to 5 megabits or just what people will call 5 megabytes a second download. So you're limited to one device. So if your internet goes out at home, it's not like you can use your device to be a mobile hotspot for multiple other devices, so that's one thing to consider. However, if your internet goes out, this is a solid enough speed to do some basic video calls and allow your computer to connect, or just for basic work for a single device. Now, this isn't going to be too great if you want to do some really internet intensive things like maybe heavy gaming, but it's at least worth considering that it's included with the plan, which is nice. Then they have this 24/7 access to human assistance, so I haven't actually had to use that. One of the other cool things about Visible is, we'll go over pricing shortly, but you can do party pay. So if you click on learn more, you can see that you can bring different numbers of people together. You can go over all of this information here. So the basically just what you're getting per plan, or for the one plan that they do have. So one member is $40, two is $35 a month, three is $30 a month, and 4+ is $25 a month. And if you scroll down to the FAQ, you can see who pays for the party. Everyone pays for their own service. So the idea is it doesn't look like one person's going to get the bill. It's actually something where multiple people can essentially just pay for their own service, although still being linked to a party. And then you can see if someone leaves the party, you'll see basically how that would be treated or how that would work here. Or you can just do referrals and get a month for $5. So by using the referral link in the description, you would get your first month for $5, and so would I. So that's another way to make the service cheaper, but this way you at least understand the pricing for all of these. Now, since we're about to cover Google Fi, one thing I want to note here is you can check out all of their links. I highly recommend making sure that you understand what exactly you're signing up for. But another thing here to consider, and probably the most important thing to consider, is coverage. Doesn't matter how cheap or expensive a plan is, if you don't get coverage, it's not really going to do you much good. So you can use the little search bar up here, or you can double click and start to zoom in on different areas of the US and figure out, are you going to be getting 4G service, 5G service? Are you even getting any service in your area? So this is what I would say you should probably look to first between Google Fi and Visible. When it comes to unlimited data, Visible is going to pretty much win based on pricing, and we'll cover why shortly. So make sure you do your due diligence and look at everything from Visible. Now let's switch over to Google Fi. So I've used Google Fi previously, and I will be putting a link in the description, a different referral code. This one is for my wife's Google Fi plan. So essentially, you can use that link to get a little bit of a discount on your Google Fi service, as well as she would, in full transparency, get a discount on her service as well. When you check out that link, it'll tell you what that discount looks like. So same thing with Visible. If you're going to use either referral code, just make sure you're reviewing pricing before you get started, but you should get a little bit cheaper service, or at least the normal price for the service itself. So just read that before you sign up. Now, we're going to go to Google Fi's page. So you see that they have a couple of different features compared to Visible. So you'll see that they have different plans. So you have Flexible for 3, then you have Simply Unlimited for 3, and Unlimited Plus. So we're going to walk through the pricing. All right, now when you land on this pricing page here, you can use this section up top to determine what your pricing would be based on the number of people that would be on your plan. One thing worth noting is, just like with most other plans, especially like with Visible, this is their version of like Party Pay. So Google Fi, this is how they handle when you have parties of more than one person. So you'll see for the truly unlimited plan, which is the closest thing to Visible, although bear in mind that some things are different as far as when the data speeds are slower, as well as the rules for hotspot tethering, which is not included in this middle plan. And you'll just notice there are a couple of other things down here that you would need to review, but this would be the closest thing you're going to get to Visible's plan while also including hotspot tethering. And you'll see with a party of 6 people, it would still be more expensive than the single person plan on Visible's service. Although again, there are a couple of things to consider, as the mobile hotspot on Google Fi does offer faster speeds than the mobile hotspot for Visible, which does have that 5 megabyte per second download speed cap. So we'll go ahead and walk through this, but again, you can use this section up here to determine the pricing similar to what we did in Visible and figure out what you would actually be paying, and then just review everything down here to see if it's a good deal for you. So let's keep going. So for just one person, you can technically get your service cheaper than Visible. However, if you start using data, it will very quickly and easily get to be more expensive than Visible. So you'll see that one of the benefits to Google Fi is if you go to the flexible plan, they do have a cap for data, which will actually slow the speed down. You do get high-speed hotspot tethering, so you're not going to have the cap that Visible has at 5 megabits a second for when you're actually using hotspot for other devices, but you are paying $10 a gig over. So there's a couple of things to consider there, but it's at least worth noting that you're going to get some faster data speeds if you want to have the mobile hotspot set up. So that's one of the biggest factors that's going to choose, in my opinion, whether or not this is the best fit, that and the overall coverage. Now, you can see coverage on these maps as well, but essentially it's good to note that you'll see what towers and what coverage you can kind of expect between the two. So when we look at these plans, you'll basically see you can kind of get started or just look at what they include, but the unlimited plan for one does not include hotspot or tethering. The unlimited plus does, and you're going to have your 22 gig cap for that high speed data before that data is slowed down. And so it's just worth noting that if you're going to use more than a gig of data, then Google Fi is going to end up being just as expensive or more expensive than Visible, depending on how much you use. So when it comes to price, I look at the 3 factors: coverage map, overall quality, and what you need, for example, data or texting or calls, and then lastly would be price. So if it comes down to price alone, Visible, in my opinion, is the best bang for your buck. However, if you're considering coverage maps, then it's just whatever works best for you. So for Google Fi, you can click on coverage and you can see what coverage they have. So you'll see they also have 5G coverage as well. So it's definitely a great option to consider. And you can basically just scroll through and figure out what exactly your coverage is. So if we're in coverage, let's just say we want to look at Denver, Colorado, for example. You can click see coverage, and then you'll see this map that pulls up, shows you what's 4G, what's 5G. I will say I do like the coverage maps for Google Fi personally a little bit more, just because they highlight and it's a little bit easier to use, but you're only using it in the beginning anyway. But you can zoom out and see the general coverage in your area and what works with what. So what we're going to do now, at least at the time of filming this video, just wanted to highlight who uses what as far as towers, because Visible and Google Fi are what we call MVNOs, so they're essentially utilizing towers for other providers. So Visible is going to be using the towers for Verizon, and Google Fi is using T-Mobile, Sprint, and US Cellular. Now, T-Mobile and Sprint have merged, so it's just worth noting, but essentially those are the towers you're going to be piggybacking off of. So with Visible only using Verizon, but Verizon typically has a pretty large coverage area, so there is a couple of things to consider, but Verizon has really good quality. But again, so could Google Fi based on the towers they're using. Now, when it comes to the service, remember that these being MVNOs, they're piggybacking off of those third-party services, which means If you're a true Verizon customer going through Verizon, your data speeds are going to be prioritized as opposed to being on Visible. Same thing with Google Fi versus, let's just say, T-Mobile. So that's something that's worth considering. So what it boils down to is just overall cost and benefit. Now, I've had Google Fi. I thought that the service was pretty solid, and to be transparent, at least in some of the areas that I've lived, I felt like the Google Fi service was a little bit faster than Visible at times. However, that again, the coverage map is a pretty big factor. Now, I think the best overall quality for what you're going to be paying for $40 a month for a single person, and the way that you can set up referral links, I think that Visible is going to be the best overall for quality, at least right now. However, again, there are plenty of factors to consider. So if you have any questions, or if you just want to share your experience with either of these, drop them in the comment box below. I hope this helps out, and then I will see you all in the next video.